Okay, this is going to be a demonstration on how to register your son or daughter for a tournament on track wrestling. I tried to use some fancy desktop recording software and it was freezing up my computer. So this is camcorder on monitor. Hopefully you will be able to see it on YouTube. First step, go to trackwrestling.com on your browser. You will need your USAW, USA Wrestling ID number. You can find that on the ID card that Coach Best passed out to all the wrestlers at the beginning of the season. If you don't have your ID card or cannot locate it, you can get your ID number from themat.com, THEMAT.com. You'll have to sign in on that website and you'll be able to pull your ID number from there. First step, once you get to Track Wrestling, is to click on Browse up here at the top in the center. That'll bring a pop-down menu. We'll have options here to browse tournaments or profiles and a few other options. We're going to click on Tournaments here, the first option. It brings up a list of all the tournaments that are on Track Wrestling coming up for this weekend and future weekends. We're going to filter that. The easiest way to do that is to click on Search, and it'll bring up a pop-up menu here with a lot of different options. The easiest way to do it for us is just on the State Held In drop-down box, click on that and select Texas. Once you've done that, click on Search at the top. It'll bring up all the tournaments coming up in Texas for the rest of the season that are on track right now. It'll also bring up past tournaments, but you won't see those because it lists them in order of what's coming up first. Our tournament here is about the 7th or 8th one down, the Warrior Wrestling Classic. You'll see it says Texas North here. That's also a search option you can use if you just want to type that in. It'll bring up all the Texas North tournaments. Click on the link and then click on Enter Tournament. You are now inside the tournament. On the tournament day, you'll be able to come in here and look at brackets and see upcoming matches and things like that. Since the tournament hasn't started yet, that's not an option. What you will see here in the middle of the screen is this Pre-Register Now link. And click on that. It'll bring up a pop-up menu or pop-up window for the Warrior Wrestling Classic. You can click on Wrestler List, and that'll show you who's registered so far, names and divisions and weight classes and all of that. That's not what we want to do though to register. We want to click on Register Now. Once you click on that, it'll give you an option here with a checkbox that you've read the refund policy. You want to click on that, enter your email address here. You'll want to enter a password in case you need to come in and change your registration later, change weight class or division or whatever you need to do. Once you've done that, click on Continue, and this will bring you to a window where you can add wrestlers to your registration. If you have multiple children, you can add them all here. If you have one child that you want to enter into multiple divisions or both in the Rookie, Novice, and Open options, you can do that here as well. We're going to click Add Wrestler. This is where you're going to need your USAW ID number. It'll be the second box here. I already have mine copied, so I'll paste it here. Once I go to the next box, it automatically populates a lot of my data here. If that doesn't populate, it's only because it's your first time to register, but I think it should at least pull up name and birth date at the very minimum. You'll want to put in your grade level here, and Best Trained Wrestling. It's already in here for me because I've registered before. If that doesn't pull up for you, you find it in the drop-down box here, or you can click on this New Team box, and if it's not showing up, type in the team here, and it'll add it to the list. Your hometown is an option, and then your email address. You'll want to put that in there because it's going to email you a verification email that you've registered. Down here at the bottom, see where it says Warrior Wrestling Classic Texas North with a checkbox. You click on that checkbox, and it brings up options for division and weight class. Or you'll see here after you click division, there are multiple options here. Now this is important to know what division your wrestler is. The first option that's listed there, it goes off your birth date that you've entered up top. And that's pulled automatically from your USAW ID number. My son is in first grade. He's a D1 wrestler. D1 is first and second grade in general. There's always there can always be exceptions to that based on some kids starting school later or being held back. But in general, if you're a first or second grader, you'll be in D1. Third or fourth grade will be D2. Kindergarten or younger is taught and etc. You can find the breakdown of all of the divisions on themat.com also. And then within each division, you'll see there are two options here for open and rookie novice. Rookie is first year wrestler, novice is a second year wrestler. So if your wrestler is a first or second year, you can put them in the rookie novice within their division. You can pick a weight class here. This is also important. If your son weighs, for example, 48 pounds, you want to be careful. Don't put them at 46 because if they don't make weight, they don't get to wrestle. Anything over 46, and that means 46.1, goes to the next weight class, which would be 50. And then underneath that, there's an option for excellent, good, average, or beginner. It's not really important for these type of tournaments. I think it's used in general for seeding purposes, but they don't seed local tournaments, so any of these will work. If your wrestler is a rookie, go ahead and select beginner. You will then click on add this wrestler. I'm not going to do it because I've already registered my son and I don't want it to pop up again. But once you do that, it'll bring you to a menu that had, or the same page we were at before where we added the wrestler. It'll just have one listed there, and you can confirm your entry. If you have the option to double enter your wrestler, that could mean multiple things. If you've entered D1 rookie novice, you can also enter D1 open. Open just means it's open to any wrestler. So you could be wrestling for 10 years or your first year, but you are allowed to wrestle in open. And you can also double enter by entering D1 and D2, which would be the age group above your current division. Both of those are allowed. The one thing that I would caution you on if you're going to double enter is that you might run into the situation where you have multiple matches at the same time and within your different divisions, and the tables and the referees do not have to wait. They can forfeit your wrestler. Now, usually they'll work with you. I've always double entered my kids. I recommend doing it for the mat time. Maybe not for your very first tournament. If you just want to kind of go and get the feel how the tournaments work, and both you and your child getting used to how the tournaments work, maybe you just single enter. If your kid really likes wrestling and they want more mat time, then it might be worth double entering. That'll be a parent's discretion. But if you do want to double enter, you'll go through the same process. So after you add wrestler, you'll have one listed there, and it'll be back at this menu here, and it'll have your first entry listed. You click on add wrestler, you can go through the same process. Type in the same ID number and pick the different option if you wanted to also do open or D2. Also, after you click on add wrestler and you have your two entries for your one child, you need to add another child. You could do the same thing. Click on add wrestler. They'll have a separate USAW ID. You enter it in this box. It'll auto-populate the name and birth date, and you can then select the options for your other child. Once that's done, and you have your wrestlers listed here, there'll be an option here for continue. You click on continue, it'll take you to the payment page where you enter your name, address, and credit card information. You click submit payment and you're done. At that point, it will email you a receipt to your the email address that you provided on the registration, and you can always use that number. It'll assign an ID number to your registration, and you can go back in and modify your registration if you need to prior to the deadline, the registration deadline, which I think is on the 15th for this particular tournament. So that's it. That's basically how you use Track Wrestling to register. Once you have all of your information entered and you've registered, if you go back to this option here and click on Wrestler List, you can check to make sure that your child is entered in the correct division and weight class. Here's mine right here, D1 Open, 46 pounds, and then D1 Rookie Novice, 46 pounds. My double entry there. So that should be it. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me or Dave Stahl, and we can help you through the process. Thanks a lot.